Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, live and exclusive on Apex Racing TV. Over the next 9 weeks, we will take in the sights of Sebring, Suzuka, Hungaroring, Okayama, Red Bull Ring, Le Mans, Barcelona, before we end out the season at Daytona. But tonight, we head for the season opener at Nurburgring. Just seen the sight of many great races over the years. I am Tim Cox, we have Dennis Branch in the production booth, but right now I'm joined by Andrew Thompson. Andrew, welcome to the show, and who should the viewers at home be keeping one eye out for tonight?
Yeah, thanks Tim. Yeah, really looking forward to this, a brand new series of the GT Trophy involving the AMs. Obviously we just finished the Pro Series, but who should we be looking out for tonight? So we've certainly got quite a few fast drivers in there. Tom Bingham, Performance Think Esports, was second place in the very first GT Trophy championship many moons ago. You have Andrew Broom, car number 41, who's very quick as well, so I expect to see him sort of round about the front of the grid. And we've also got, who's the other Scot there? Matthew McBride was very quick on practice on this, done a 154, the only driver in the 154s around this track. Very good track to be doing on, and obviously in this qualifying, Tim, it's all about getting that clean track, but also trying to get a little bit of slipstream action going on in this qualifying.
Definitely, and well, the drivers just heading out on their outlap. It's well worth mentioning. So the series is sponsored by the guys over Virtual Racing School VRS, with over 50 data packs for road and oval racing setups, track guides, and data analysis software. Thank you to those guys. Also the guys at SDK Gaming. You can add a live HUD, show timing towers, and you stream to Twitch and broadcast your leagues like using the same software that we're using tonight. And finally, the third sponsor is Apex Racing Academy. 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integration with VRS, weekly group coaching sessions, plus much more. As we see the drivers just sort of bunching up a little bit there, just trying to find a bit of clean air that they can get their laps underway with. Now, worth mentioning, the drivers are restricted on fuel, so they have a 60% capacity of their fuel tank, which means over the course of the hour-long race, they will have to take pit stops, and it'll be interesting to see how pit strategy forms things up tonight. And Andy, Andrew, I know you were sort of, we're talking about that sort of before the show. I mean, do you think we'll potentially see a few drivers looking to make an undercut, or possibly even pitting halfway through the session, just trying to get themselves in a bit of clean air where they may be tied up behind someone?
Yeah, that was actually played quite a big part in the Pro Series, was where they managed to pit during the races. Some who did the early pits managed to come out on top. Some that did the late pits as far as they could go into the race came out on top. So it's a bit of a minefield at the moment, and it all depends, I suppose, where you are on track. If you're caught behind a bunch of drivers that you're faster than, then it makes sense to come into the pits, refuel, give yourself some fresh air, and hopefully you'll do the overcut on the drivers coming in, the slower drivers in front of you. But it will pay into place if these races go anything like the pros. It's normally a little bit quiet, and obviously they're probably going to show me wrong here, a little bit quiet the first 15 minutes, and then we start getting into the realms of the pit stop, and then it all sort of like kicks off after the pit stops, where we have the cars taking the positions and really pushing on during the race. So I'm sort of expecting that tonight. This is the first round, so the drivers will be getting used to all the other drivers around them. So they need to just be a little bit aware, certainly on that first lap, Tim, coming down from the start finish off that grid down to turn 1, which is always a notorious spot for accidents in this track. So just need to make sure that they can get around that first corner and the second and third, which is the Mercedes Arena area, which is always one for a bit of entertainment from cars hitting into each other, but they certainly don't want to be doing it on the first lap. As we said, 60-minute races, you don't want to be out within the first 30 seconds of this race.
As you see, qualifying well underway at the moment. There's 10-minute qualifying. Just everyone out on track, and right now it's a school Scottish front row with McBride and Winnes currently occupying the top 2 spots. Both also in BMWs. Then it's the first non-BMWs, the Ferrari of Gandolfi. They're followed by 2 more BMWs. Now, wherever I'm watching officials, Andrew, the BMW really does seem to be the car to have around here. I was watching a bit of Dan Suzuki's stream earlier, funnily enough, and I think it's something like about of the top 10, I think something like about 6 or 7 of the cars were all BMWs. So I think we're looking for possibly quite a strong showing from the German manufacturer tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems to be the car of choice at the moment in the GT3 class, the BMW. But it's good to see that we have got pretty much every GT3 car on show here tonight. We've got the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini. We've even got the Audi on show. A couple of drivers decided to drive the Audi. So good to see we've got quite a spread of manufacturers in this, and it's pretty much not just the BMW show. But the 2 main cars that I'm sort of seeing in the timing towers that the guys have gone for are it seems like the BMW and the Ferrari seems to be quite a strong choice in this championship.
So you just saw Hofgaard sticking his Porsche onto 5th place before just being nudged down there by another BMW driver. It was getting off ski as Broom just puts his Lamborghini, the Brit, up into 6th place there. Round about 3.5 minutes left of qualifying as we ride on board in the Porsche with Bingham right now. So he comes round turn 1, and then heading around turn 2 through the Mercedes arena. It's a bit of a trickier part of the circuit, I tend to find, just picking a line through here. We sure will see plenty of side-by-side action through here, and the first few laps just runs out a little bit wide there. Now on the run down to Balvin, it's left-hander, and then straight almost immediately the right-hander of 4 curve before it's now the run out, just pushing the car, letting it out, understeer out wide. We now head down to Dunlop. We come hard onto the brakes for this sweeping horseshoe of a corner, taking 2 sort of double apexes, therefore using all of the curb on the exit. That's through into the iconic Michael Schumacher Estes. You can see the sign on the right hand side of the screen there. Now it's just a run down to Michelin, where it's hard on the brakes, taking plenty of that curb on the inside, but let it run wide, and then really maximising your exit now out of Washina before we had from the kink that is Advan, and then up to the final chicane, where they're going to come hard onto the brakes, taking it across the curbs. Obviously in the Porsche, you won't do that so much. We'll see the BMWs really monster those curbs before we come around the last turn. That is Coca-Cola, just taking a bit more of a shallower line there compared to the Audi in front. Let's see how BM gets on. Can he improve? Can he move himself up the timing sheets? He comes across the line, and he actually goes slightly slower than his best, so he's not going to improve as of yet, and there's probably just enough time for him, fuel permitting, to maybe get one more lap in. So still all to play for in qualifying with just over a minute left right now.
I think that's the thing with this qualifying, Tim, is that turn number 4 that you were mentioning there, where we saw Tom go a little bit wide. That's always a classic place on this track to actually get that 1x, and certainly in this qualifying session, you can't afford any off tracks, or else the lap gets null and void. And we saw in practice, you know, all the drivers up to top 20 were within a second. So quite a few of the drivers we're seeing here in this qualifying taking it a little bit cautious to make sure they get them laps in, because it looks like quite a few of the drivers have got off tracks and affected their times. You know, it's only the top 6 that are within a second. After that, it starts going above a second. So I think a few of the drivers just tiptoeing around this course to ensure they get a lap in.
See how if Fitzharley can improve his time, the Irishman. It's an improvement on time, but not enough to move himself up the rankings. A few drivers just coming through now to complete their laps. Not at the moment seeing any improvements in times necessarily to elevate themselves up the grid at all. Right now we're looking like a 1-2-3 for BMW, only with Gandolfi, the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, just mixing it up in amongst them. 4 BMWs in the top 5 right now. But how can Pedrero do? No, he's aborting his lap, so he's definitely not going to improve. I think that's pretty much everyone sort of rounded out their qualification. We'll be able to get you the grid up very shortly. And as always, we'd love to hear from you in the chat in YouTube. Pedro Enrique saying Pablo and Rogers. Who else? We've got DW Media. Hello, good luck to everyone. eSim Racing. Go Nuno Vinagre. Interesting to see how they get on tonight. Not long left of the session before we then can bring up your grid for tonight. And we've got an hour-long race, and I'm sure it's going to be filled full of plenty of drama and excitement, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. Really looking forward to this. I always enjoy a brand new series with the drivers just sort of feeling out the skill set of the drivers around them. So you know, it can either go one or two ways. It can be either an absolute epic race, or it can be a disaster into turn one. So I'm hoping it's the first one and not the latter within the race tonight. But this is one of them classic courses where it's touch and go with that first corner. If somebody goes in a little bit hard, it can cause a big cascade effect coming down. But looks like Dave Whitehouse is on his fastest lap that he's done in this session. So got 4 greens up. Still, yep, he moves up to 16th place. So P16 for Dave Whitehouse, our fellow commentator and last season's pro commentator. So decided to see what it was like on the other side of the fence.
Definitely, yes. Normally, well, I don't know, Dave, clearly a much better racer myself, hence why I tend to talk about racing a lot more than I do actually race it. But yeah, it'd be great to see how our fellow commentator here at Apex Racing TV, David Whitehouse in the BMW, gets on tonight. Just waiting for that grid to get populated, and then we can bring you up through that very, very shortly. So, it's got a great season. As I mentioned, it's going to be taking in lots of different tracks. Sure, it's going to be full of action right from the start to the very end. Of course, we'll have the whole series here. And if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening at Apex Racing TV, you can do so. Follow us on Twitter, where we are at Apex Racing TV. Facebook is facebook.com/Apex Racing TV. And Instagram is Apex Racing TV. Andy, do you want to take us through the grid?
Yes, most certainly. In first place, we've got Matthew McBride. Second, Stuart Warner. So a Scottish lockout of 1-2. Yuko Glassilvi in third place. Alberto Gandalf in fourth. Greg Hubler in fifth. Andrew Broom in sixth. Niels Hofgaard in the seventh. Stock Matea in eighth. Christian Engelhardt in ninth. Tor Overland Gherking in 10th. Paul Coleslaw in 11th. Tom Bingham in 12th. 13th place, we have Nuno Vergagre, Glenn Andre Christensen in 14th, Matt Hubbard in 15th, Dave Whitehouse 16th, Adam Kindness in 17th, Pontus Overstrom in 18th, Paul Robinson 19th, Ian Manners in 20th, Angelo Pajero in 21, Jewel Manuel Cayella in 22nd, Fernando Torres in 23rd, and Zach Eagle in 24th. Orlan Marlov in 25th, Vincent Harley 26th, 27th is Rui Palamas, and at the back of the field is Stan Andre Loskin in 28th place. So some tongue twister names there, I think.
Definitely, and I'm sure we'll definitely catch us out during the race and all the excitement that's going to unfold. And apologize for a few slip of the tongues there. As we get underway in all the excitement when we get caught up in the action. Yeah, we're just waiting for the last few drivers to take to the grid. Then they'll be heading off what is always the traditional starting format here in GT racing and sports car racing in general, behind the safety car. A rolling start. See the Porsche 911. They've got just taking them off underway before we begin. There's going to be some absolutely epic racing.
Really looking to that first corner. That's going to be an interesting watch with these cars. But it does make a difference with the rolling start, though. It does spread the field out a little bit better. But you know, luckily we don't have to go the whole way around. iRacing decided to put us halfway round. So just coming around the last corner now, Tim. Over to you for the start of the race.
Here we go. There's Matthew McBride in the BMW. Just leads the field round, coming round the last corner. That is Coca-Cola. So they come round out onto the start-finish straight. Run down. And we get ready for the lights as they cross the finish. And McBride going early there. And really getting the jump on Winness and really heading off as we are underway for round one at the Nurburgring. But it's all starting to kick off a little bit behind them as we've got drivers going too wide. Even trying to go 3 wide there in the background. And it looks like everyone seems to have got round turn 1 safely as they head through round the Mercedes arena the very first time. There's Hubler, the American in the BMW, still holding on to that 4th place right now. And right now, the top 6 have not changed at all, but the biggest loser so far is Nils Hofgaard in his Lamborghini. So in his Porsche, and he's down a couple of places as they now come down into Valvine and then into the Ford curve for the first time. Offerstrom just running side by side. Oh, it's getting off Foski, just running wide. This could end in disaster as he rejoins, but somehow manages to slot it through like the thread through the eye of a needle and avoids everyone. It's all got another car off there just in the background there. We've got a couple off. It's Stakoko in the Ferrari. Wow, it's somehow, by those couple of incidents, managed. Oh, there we go. It's Ofstrom on the best of times, off again in the Porsche. And I was just about to say, everyone seems to have gone away really cleanly, and then all of a sudden it's suddenly kicking off here. We've got cars scattered all over the track. One of them is Hubbard in the Audi, and he's taken a right tumble. He's down 11, 12 places, and it looks like he's retiring that car right now. And well, the curse of the commentator really strikes again, and just saying how clean everyone's got away, and then all of a sudden it just mayhem ensues there, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of them were self-induced spins there, coming down into them fast corners. So obviously the car is full of fuel, the tyres are not warm, the brakes are a little bit cold, and people will be trying to do the braking points of a normal part of a track. So you will get them self-spins in the first one. But I mean, on the whole, it was actually a relatively clean race. Looking at the biggest losers and gainers, so Tom Bingham's up 4 places, starting in P12, now in P8. Johan Mael Kaela up 10 places, along with Vincent Harley as well up 10 places. The big losers, Skoko Martia, as we saw him spin off, I think it was down round Dunlop, he spun off, so he's down 16 places. And Matt Hubbard, after that incident there, coming up on the turns after the Schumacher has turned 11 and 12, so a little bit of an issue there, and he's had to tow back to the pits, which will be a couple of minutes, so he'll be well off the pace now. But they can still score, the drivers can still score points if they're within 3 laps of the leaders, so there's still always point to actually go out, and the drivers do get 1 fast repair per round as well, so at least they don't have to endure the repair process of iRacing for that one occasion. But yeah, as we watch a replay here.
So we've got Kindness in the Audi there in the middle of it, and just getting a tap, and that's what sent him around. Scott, and just had this, where it's so tricky early on, obviously, where the field is tightly compacted and you just have to lose so much time just waiting for everyone, the whole field, to come through.
Well, as we see Glenn Andre Christensen come off a little bit on Dunlop curve, hitting the barrier there, losing a lot of places. And I think that's what we will see this, certainly in the opening laps, is the cars, as we see. Is that another replay there? That's another replay, I think, was it? I'm not sure, but currently watching. Oh, yeah,
that was what happened, around the Dave Whitehouse, where we had all that sort of mayhem, and we lost Matthew Hubbard in the Audi. It was down on the entrance to Ford curve. But right now, we've got this battle of the Italian manufacturers. We've got Manners versus Pajero. They're getting closer and closer, but also it's getting closer up at the front end. We've got the battle for 7th place. So we've got Hofgaard leading this train. We've got 2 Porsches at the front. There's Bingham tucked up right behind him, but the following cars behind him, we've got Gil King and then Javovsky, who is down 7 places, obviously qualified 4th on the grid, so 3rd on the grid, and really finding his way, having to pick his way back through as he jinxes left and jinxes right there. Just trying to find a way past the Ferrari of Gitling. Just trying to set him up as they now come through the Schumacher S's. Can he find his way past? Who can get the best drive out? That BMW really strong through that part of the track where it's able to take the curb so well. Coming through now out onto the straight, and then through the fastest part of the circuit as they're going to head through the kink that is Advan. And then up to the chicane, where they're going to be hard onto the brakes. Who can come out in front? I think Janowski's going to be a bit too far back this time around. And everyone just happy to sit behind each other for now. But I'm sure with only 5 minutes gone in the race so far, it's getting really, really close there. And see if they can try and get their way past. But battles happening up and down the field, such as commonplace within GT3 racing. Right now, we've got Kindness at the front in this little battle here in the Audi, followed by Palmas in the Porsche, and then the Ferrari of Mattia. Getting really, really close, and I'm sure it's going to get even closer as they come through the Mercedes section. But Broom just ran to hang it around the outside there. That's going to allow Engelhardt through for position. Go. Just Lamborghini versus Lamborghini working together there. They're going to have to got a bit of a tall order to chase down Hubler in the BMW as well. We've got contact now in the background there. Christensen, I think, was one of those drivers. It's just getting a little bit of mayhem soon. There you go. Offstrom in the Porsche was another one of them.
Coming out of turn number 3, wasn't it?
That was, yeah. Just seemed to. It's always a bit of a tricky section for the Mercedes arena. They trip over one another. This Whitehouse on the attack there, sends it up the inside, and just a bit of contact enough to spend him through, and that's what caused it. It was Whitehouse initially, and everyone having taken evasive action and causing the spins and collisions behind there. So we just caught the aftermath of what had happened, and that was the root cause of it there.
Yeah, I suppose that's one of the bad bits of that Mercedes arena. If you got the car in front of you come off, you're sort of in no man's land because there's only one effective line coming through that section. So you will have the incidents as we saw on screen there. But we're joining this battle here again for 7th place. We got Hofgaard in 7th, Tom Bingham in 8th, Kinklin, who we're watching on screen at the moment, in 9th, and Javosky in 10th. So no real position change, but the cars are all closely bunched together, so this slipstream effect, which doesn't seem to be that strong, and the BMW I thought would be a little bit stronger, so it may be down to what the setup that the guys have got on their cars at the moment. So not any movers or shakers within this 7th place battle, all staying relatively clean for the last couple. As I say that, we've got car 36 going up the inside, Javosky trying to get up the inside of Coleshaw, and basically pushing his way through there. It seemed very bad trying to take a car on that second turn. It's sort of like an off-cambered corner, and it will push the cars out wide. So very ambitious move there, going up the inside for the car number 36, pushing car 21 slightly out wide, and unfortunately losing him another place in the process. So as we can see there, Joachim down to 11th. So we got Hofgaard in 7th, Tom Bingham in 8th, Javosky in 9th, and Coleshaw in 10th in this battle for 7th at the moment.
So just coming up to the 10-minute mark, you order currently is McBride and Winnis, the two Scots in the BMWs out in front. Then we've got Dolphy in the Ferrari's 3rd, Hubler, another BMW driver, is 4th. Then we've got Engelhardt, 5th and 6th, with Broom in 6th for Lamborghini. Then it's 2 Porsches. We've got Hofgaard and Bingham, by Janowski in the BMW, which then starts off a trade of Italian manufacturers covering the next sort of 5 places from Coleshaw all the way down to Harley in 15th place. Italians, it's got a bit of a vibe of Italian versus Italy versus Germany here today within GT3, as we see Gitling just get all over the back of Coleshaw right now and start to line up, just starting to prod and probe away at the back end of the Brit. Ferrari's both very strong in the straight line, but Gitling able to really utilise that slipstream along the start-finish straight. He's going to have a go up the inside. There's maybe a little bit of contact there into turn 1. And that really allowed Coleshaw to really get away there and just able to drive away from Gitling. And it's given him a bit of breathing space there, but just in front of him, it's all starting to really happen as we've got Hofgaard at the front of this train, followed by Bingham, and then Janowski, who's on a recovery drive himself, to try to get his way past these two battling Porsches, hoping to try and pick up some scraps from the pair of them. There's only just under a second. It's coming towards half a second covering these three drivers right now. They come down into Dunlop. And we see Janowski just trying to get the run round the outside, but no. Bingham just shuts the door on exit. Here comes Janowski again, just trying to really get up the inside, but that's not going to give him the best drive off the corner. And it allows Bingham to canter away there and get some clear air between himself and Janowski. This way now. Come round Michelin. And it's round Warsteiner. And as they now head out towards, well, maybe you call the back straight here. Well, it's pretty close to the end of the lap. Janowski's going to be probably a bit too far back to try and make a lunge on the brakes. But we've got to get Gling. He's really desperately now trying to find his way past Robinson. All he can see, the Ferrari driver, is their fellow Ferrari driver of Collishaw, just heading off into the distance. Gitling just desperately trying to find his way past, but Bingham versus Janowski. Janowski. It's happening again here, Andrew, and he's decided to go against it as he looks to try and get the cutback on the Englishman. Not just trying to get the best exit off the corner as it's really, really closing up this gap right now, and he can feel the pressure applying. But while these guys are in battling, Collishaw's really closed it up onto the back of them. It's a little bit of a love tap there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see the differences in the two setups of the car. The Porsche's very nimble on the brakes, a little bit of a late braker, and going into the corners a lot better than the BMW. But then you got the raw power of the BMW on the straights and the long flowing corners that manages to get back up. So, you know, different contrast there. So we see here Tom getting slightly a little bit out front with Janowski, but then he starts coming strong during this second and third sector. So we saw in the timing tower just before we moved to the other drivers, Janowski managed to get past Tom going into the start-finish straight, but then Tom managing to get that position done down the start-finish straight back off Janowski, and then obviously getting that Porsche in a position to defend quite well. But we see here now Janowski closing up on the back of Bingham, which is the strongest part of the track probably for the BMW, and not good for Tom Bingham here. He just needs to make sure he defends his line really well, which I'm sure he will, as he's got the fast BMW of Janowski right behind now. So we may see the exact same of the last race, where Janowski managing to get it done coming down the start finish, but then you'll see the power of the Porsche in the sector one. So certainly a battle of the sectors at the moment between these two car manufacturers as we move over to Kindness and Whitehouse having a big battle here.
Wow.
For 17th place.
Banging doors there into the chicane, and Whitehouse just able to get away, but no, it looks like he's got a slowdown, which is now allowed not only Kindness but Mattea as well to come through in the Ferrari, and all of a sudden Whitehouse loses 2 places plus a big chunk of time there. But here comes Mattea, and Kindness, where he's under threat from Whitehouse. Well, he's on the attack of Whitehouse, sorry. And now he's looking vulnerable to Mattea, and he could end up almost back where he started. But Mattea jumping up 2 places, and Whitehouse dropping 2. Just look at the rear end of that Audi right now. Absolutely, like all over the back of him.
It's interesting, Tim, is we've got these little pockets of battles throughout the field. You know, we've just been watching the big battle there for P7 between Hoffman, Bingham and Genovi. Then you've got other battles with Robinson, Gertling for P11 and 12. Then you've got 13th and 14th having a little bit of a battle. So there's all these mini battles going on throughout the track, and this is there'll be a theme of this series. You get these little pockets of space between drivers, but you have normally 2 or 3 drivers that are always battling out. And we see now Colshaw's actually got up with Tom Bingham and Janowski. Janowski makes an excellent move around the outside, managing to go around the outside of Tom. Should get this move done, but he will be compromised on his line going into the into the chicane here, and Tom goes around the outside, but gives him the space that he needs to. Oh, and Tom might be close to a slow down penalty there, cutting that corner, which is another classic mistake, I think, on this Nurburgring circuit, but we'll try to bleed that slow down off over the time of the start-finish straight. So we'll see if he slows down and Kolshaw manages to get up into P9, but Janowski at the moment on a charge into P8, Tom Bingham into 9, and Kolshaw was a battle that you're currently watching on screen.
So yeah, going to be really interested to see how Janowski gets on. Sort of almost felt like from watching the body language of his car that he was just getting held up. Next car on track, well, his next target is the Porsche of Hofgaard, who's around about 1.5 seconds up the road. Janowski already starting to make inroads into that time gap. But Bingham, although as Harley in the Lamborghini is spun, I think, is that down in Mercedes Arena? Yes, yeah, it is. It's rejoining there, but he's lost a few places and finds himself coming out just in front of Whitehouse. Now, did he lose it by himself, or was there a bit of assistance? Right now, from looking at that, it looks like Harley just over-rotated the car on the exit of the Mercedes Arena. And that's what's cost him dearly as Kolshaw. Oh no, we've lost Kolshaw. He was in that absolutely brilliant battle and really starting to look like he was going to get past Bingham. And all of a sudden has lost it. As you see the Ferrari here. Down into the hairpin. It's Dunlop as he just got a bit onto the curves a bit too much. No, it's into the gravel. And that sent him into the barrier. Oh no. What a shame for Kolshaw. He's in such a brilliant race. And now he's being swamped. He's stuck in the monks. The kindness of Mattia Bowell is down over 15th place. And here comes the fellow Ferrari driver, Mattia, who's looking to go up the inside. But no, they're going to almost try and go free wide into the chicane. Mattia backs out. Kolshaw just trying to get the cutback, but Mattia just picking his pocket there and just threading it through the inside. But who's going to get the best drive out? Who's going to get run down to the last corner? Well, it is Mattia. He's managed to get his Ferrari ahead. And right now, for Kolshaw and the Ferrari, it seems to be going from bad to worse, as Vince Harley in the Lamborghini is now tucked up right behind him.
Definitely, that was a very ambitious move there from Mattia, but managing to get it done. And seems Kolshaw, after his little spin, is getting a little bit bullied by this group of cars that are in front of him. So he just needs to get his composure back. We know he's a fast driver with quick time, so he just needs to get his composure back, let them tyres cool down a little bit, and then start pushing on again. But that was certainly a great move there from Mattia into the chicane. Pretty much an undercut going into an overcut coming out of that.
Yeah, because on kindness, and they're going to try and go side by side. Mattia just backing out of it there, just looking to not lose too much time, because Kolshaw is now looming in the background, just trying to pick the pocket. Mattia, who did the same to him, up into chicane as well, being a contact there as there's bumper cars down into Dunlop, and for Kolshaw, just it's going from bad to worse, that corner for him yet again. We see here on the replay, it was Mattia just having to take evasive action, almost running into the back of kindness, which caused Kolshaw to have to really throw out the anchor. And that has allowed Harley to come through, who, I tell you what, he's on a brilliant drive. That's 9 places already tonight, Andrew. And definitely one to look out for. But all that's been going on, Janowski has been taking chunks out of Hofgaard and is now up onto the back of the Porsche to head down into turn 1. It's heading towards the inside, but thinks about it again. Just tucks up behind the Porsche.
Yeah, one thing I've known about Janowski, he does like to show his face to the drivers that are in front of him at every given opportunity, always trying to pull out just to do that feint down the inside. See if he can draw mistakes from the drivers in front of him. It seems to be working for him at the moment, obviously picking his way up after his pretty terrible start to the race, but is going on a bit of a charge now and has got Hofgaard that's in front of him, trying to go around the outside here.
Wow.
Down into the Porsche curve, trying to get the inside. Is he going to get it done? think he might well do here. I think he might have just got 7th place off Hofgaard.
Absolutely textbook move there, setting round the outside to the first part so that he knew then he'd be on the inside line for the second part of the curve. And that has now allowed Janowski through. His next target is about a whopping nearly 7 seconds up the route. It's Andrew Boone for Lamborghini. He's going to have his work cut out. We are a third of the way through the race already. Not too sure where that time has gone, but the two Scots are still way out in front in their BMWs. It's McBride and Winnes. They're followed by the Ferrari. For 6 seconds nearly down the road is Gandolfi. Hubler in the fellow BMW drivers fourth. Then it's Engelhardt and Broom for Lamborghini. And BMW driver Janowski, who we've just seen getting past Hofgaard, Bingham for Porsche. They've got Robinson, who's been slowly picking his way through. He's up to 10th, but Mattea just running a bit slow out there. And that has allowed Collishaw to come back through. And likewise, Harley's just been slowly picking his way through this little section of cars, but now he's under threat as here comes the Ferrari. Going to have the work to do to try and take it around the outside there. With Harley just covering off with the defensive line there, just to make sure he's not slowing it up on the apex, but it heads to the pits, going early. For his pit stop is Vince Harley for Lamborghini, our first of our drivers to take to the pits. It's going to be interesting to see where does he come out, but that has now released Collishaw to chase down Kindness. Just head back to Janowski. Hofgaard, Bigham, two Porsche drivers back up together now. Back to resuming their little battle. Now Bingham has managed to shake off the drivers behind him, and obviously Janowski just heading past them all. I mean, it's going to be really interesting tonight, Andrew, see how Janowski gets on and whether he can really close up that gap to the two Lamborghinis ahead of him of Engelhardt and Brune.
Yeah, with the battle he's having with Hofgaard there, it's actually brought Tom Bingham, as we see on screen here, back into the fray with on the back of Hofgaard. So, you know, these three cars, it seems to be like the Hofgaard and Bingham are getting pulled along from by Janowski at the moment. A little bit of a gap before appearing between the three cars, but it's always good to follow a faster driver in front, which gives you faster times. As looks like they're coming up on some back markers there in the race, so hopefully they get out the way and we keep it nice and clean. But we can see here at the front, I think Andrew Broom and Christian Engelhardt are having a real good battle for P5. I think Andrew Broom a short while ago passed Engelhardt, but obviously Engelhardt's managed to get back that P5, so these two are having a really good battle. But as you said, at the moment is the P1 and 2, they're way out in front, over 6 seconds ahead of Gandolfi in third and Hubler in fourth place. So the top sort of section of cars, apart from Engelhardt and Broom, the top four, they've got a little bit of a space, like a second between third and fourth, and then obviously 6 seconds between second and third, and only 0.6 to McBride in first place. But these two working well at the front of the field, just keeping that lead, which is probably a really wise decision to do, with Winnes not trying to push the pace on McBride and just letting the race go in, as we have our fellow commentator Dave Whitehouse coming in for his pit stop. So this is where I would expect sort of the undercut or the early pit stoppers to come in. So we'll see after the random pit stop how they fare when it all unravels.
Definitely, and just trying to get into some fresh air there. Clearly, Whitehouse just trying to get himself to try and pick up some time and come out in amongst in a nice little pocket of space. Try and get the jump on his competitors in and around him. So we've watched the two BMW drivers who've been in a class of their own tonight. The only two drivers to get into the 1:55s in terms of lap times, and incredibly close. Both 1:55.9s. Winnes with ever so slightly the faster time, but only 0.04 of a second. Such as being the closest of these two guys out in front. And seem to be happy to just pull each other along and work together. But I'm sure as the race goes on and we get ever and ever closer towards the race finish. Those two are going to start to get their elbows out, and things are going to get maybe a bit tasty and a bit feisty between them as time runs out for them.
Yeah, another thing to take into account is Winners is obviously just staying behind McBride, so McBride's obviously trying to punch that hole through the air in front of him, using a lot more fuel than Stuart Wilness in second place. So it may be that Stuart can actually go for that extra lap longer, and Matthew will have to come in to pit earlier. So Stuart may be doing a bit of a tactical race here to try and get the overcut on Matthew McBride here, because he's just staying behind him within that slipstream, so he probably can coast a little bit and save that fuel, which on a 60% fuel tank limit, you know, that one extra lap could make all the difference, get him in front of Matthew McBride. But be interesting to see, like you say, after the round. And Dave Whitehurst just coming out the pits and having a bit of an issue there, coming out, going down into the Porsche curve, the Ford curve there, coming out of the pits on his cold tyres. So not a great exit to his pit.
See, Janowski. Oh no, he's had a spin. He's had a spin. So all that hard work of picking his way through the field, where he was chasing down the two Lamborghinis, has come undone. He's tumbled all the way down into 11th. This is on the approach down to Dunlop, is it? And is he just overcooked it? He has, all by himself, which has left him facing the wrong way. There was another car in the background there, just taking evasive action, heading off the track. Might have been
Whitehouse, I think.
Whitehouse, I think, was it?
Yeah, I think it looked like Whitehouse that did. But yeah, absolute terrible there. All the hard work.
Oh, here we go. We've got the battle for the lead, and they've swapped it. They swapped around. Vanessa's gone ahead of McBride for the lead, so they've swapped places. But it seems to be that McBride, not too sure what happened to him there, because Vanessa's just seemed to get past really easily. And where he's been averaging around about 7 tenths behind McBride is now nearly a second and a half ahead of him. And yeah, McBride seems to be, you know, incredibly slow through that section. So not too sure. Maybe he got slowed down or something.
No, it almost looked on that shot where he panned to them that he moved over to the side to let him through. So very strange one there why McBride actually let him through, but only 1.4, so he seems to be losing a little bit of time. So very strange here as we now start getting into the realms of the mass pit stops that we come in. So we'll see where all the cars manage to come out after the round of pit stops, up to probably about 33 minutes, I think, and 34 would be going into the long haul on the pit stop strategy. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out top on the pit stop battle as such, as we currently watching Gicklin in 10th place, and behind him we got Javonsky again. He's got it all to do after managing to get up really well, as you were speaking to him, and then just having a self-spin coming down into the Dunlop curve, over pushing it a little bit, trying to close down to Broom in front of him. And yeah, he's got it all again to do, but currently in third place, Alberto Gandolfi. Hoopla has closed the gap on him now and is literally just behind him in the BMW as we watch Gandolfi going into the pit from third.
That's going to release Hubler. What can the American do? He needs some absolutely amazing laps to get in front of the Italian, as here comes Bingham. He's been following behind Hofgaard for so long, but he's finally managed to get the move done. Round Coca-Cola, as now we've got a drag race though, down to turn 1. It's Porsche versus Porsche. We head to the helicopter camera to see who's going to come out victorious. We've got Bingham, he's on the inside, and I think Hofgaard is maybe going to try to look to get this cut back on him, but it's not enough, and that is Bingham through, and now up into 6th place. Wow, I think this is going to be really interesting to see how he gets on, and whether he can now look to push ahead. That's going to be a really tall order, just coming up to half race distance completed now. Next car on track is Broom. He's a further 11 seconds up the road from these guys. And it's going to take an absolutely amazing performance from Bingham if he is to catch up onto the back of the Lamborghini of Broom. But Robson, we've not really mentioned him too much tonight. He's up 10 places. And now he's chasing down his fellow Ferrari driver of Gickling. They come round Dunlop now. And Robson, he's just slowly just been picking his way through the field. Just really, really quietly, hasn't he, Andrew?
Definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the major things with this series is consistency. If you can keep it on track, keep in them consistent times, as we've seen with some of the front runners, you know, they are prone to making the mistakes, and he's managed to, just like you said, be under the radar. Hasn't really been talked about on stream, but he's gone up 10 places, just keeping himself to himself, doing his constant lap times, lap after lap, and he's reaping the rewards for it at the moment. You know, in P9 starting in P19th. You know, it's a great result for him if he can manage to keep this. And he's actually only got Gickling just right in front of him. So the opportunity, and Hofgaard in front of him, so the opportunity for him to get up to 7th place at the moment. So a great drive there from Robinson in 9th place, but Hofgaard now under a lot of pressure with Gickling. Tom Bingham just basically managing to get a scamper away from Hofgaard. I'm very surprised about that, but must have been an issue there. But Hofgaard now having a real big battle with Gickling in P8 at the moment. Those two teammates, those two are teammates as well on Team Slow-Mo. So teammates having a little bit of battle, one in the Porsche, one in the Ferrari.
Maybe a little bit of team orders and team tactics coming into play here. So we've got Ian Manners of Kanan in the Ferrari. You can see him just looming in the background there, swarming all over the back. And it's getting really, really close. Did I say Manners? It's Paul Robson, sorry, he's behind these guys. This is the one over the back of Gickling. And that Ferrari of Gickling's starting to look a little bit vulnerable. You see the contrast in lines being taken between the Porsche and the Ferrari there. So they came round into Dunlop. Porsche seemed to running a little bit deeper, taking like a double apex around Dunlop compared to the Ferrari, which at the hands of Gickling just seems to prefer that sort of like more constant swooping line.
I think the Porsche is one of these cars, the driver's car, that is just pretty much a level playing field, where the Ferrari is very good on most things, but the downfall of the Ferrari on these long races is that it does chew the fields.
Here
we see a deep lunge up on the inside and managing to get that position over Hofgaard in 8th, and he seems to be just going back. You know, it wasn't.
He's headed to the pits, I think. That's why.
He's 5 seconds over Tom Bingham got out of him, so he must have had an issue to obviously bring him back in with Gickling, but obviously deciding to go in, probably not a bad idea actually. Gives himself a minute's break to calm down, repurpose himself, reconcentrate, and then get himself back on it. But was under all sorts of pressure there from Gickling, and obviously Gickling managing to get the move done into the chicane.
You saw on camera there Hubler for BMW in from 4th place, as we've got Edel versus that's Palmas, sorry, just behind them. They two trading places, and Palmas just all over the back of him right now. Yeah, who's mentioned Hubler, he's into the pits from 4th place. The first of our front runners to head to the pit lane. But right now it's just seeing Palmas, he just seems to have dropped a little bit, and running a bit wide there. That won't exactly do him any favours. And he's got Offstrom right behind, who's starting to tuck up, but also look who's behind them. It's Harley and the Lamborghini coming along for the ride. We've seen him pick the pockets of other people and just pick up places. Be interesting to see where they all come out, but also there's Hubler as well, not too far behind them. One of the faster guys. Last thing he's going to want is to close up onto the back of these guys and then get caught in their fight, and then allowing likes of Engelbert, who's just headed to the to the pits right now, one of our front runners, to head in. So we've only got winners, McBride and Broom, yet to head to the pits. of our top 5. As we see Robson for Ferrari just heading to the pits as well, and definitely seems to be the more favoured time for the drivers right now, Andy. Let's just watch Gandalf versus Kindness. Audi versus Ferrari. It seems to be the preferred option for the drivers to start to be coming in now, really. Got a lot of it's all bar around about 8 drivers yet to take their pit stops.
Yeah, so the top 7 drivers at the moment still having to pit within this race. Has Gandalf pitted? Let's just have a look. Yes, he has. So he is our first of our drivers that have stopped, all in front of P8, have still yet to stop. So we can see Gandalf there has actually got a lot of time. I mean, I didn't quite catch, what's the pit lane time? Is it about 48 seconds, something like that?
I think so, yeah.
50 seconds we're seeing Robson there. Well, he could actually profit Gandalf here, because if you look, he's only 48 seconds behind the first place, so he could actually jump up quite a few places here.
It's going to be really, really interesting, but also last thing he's going to be wanting to be is battling and tuck behind Kindness. See where it, heating up those tyres and also losing time in that battle. As Kindness right now trying its absolute hardest to cling on to that 7th place as our leaders are into the pit lane. Vanessa McBride matching each other. 2 Scots, the 2 BMW drivers entering the pits at exactly the same time, and it's almost like they were separated at birth. They're like twins. They seem to be doing absolutely everything together and sharing everything.
Yeah, even though they're not in the same team, it almost seems like they are on the same Discord channel, and maybe that swap was to conserve a bit more fuel to get out, as we thought.
Sorry, Chris Cross, Andy. It looks like Gandolfi's going to get the move done on Kindness. Maybe not, no. Kindness just a little bit later on to the brakes, take it to the inside, but then heads to the pit lane. This is going to release Gandolfi. Obviously, the first of our front runners to take the pit stop. Where is he going to come out? He's not going to come out ahead of our 2 leaders who've emerged in 3rd and 4th place. But Gandolfi, he's managed to, by the looks of things, he's managed to take a fair chunk of time out of those top 2, because they were around about 7 seconds clear, and now it's down to 5 seconds. And what has been, we thought maybe Gandolfi had been held up a little bit behind Audi's Kindness, but somehow he's managed to close up that gap. You do have to wonder, as before, we've just got Engelhardt and Broom trading places there. But yeah, you just have to wonder for Gandolfi, if he hadn't got stuck behind Kindness, just how much closer would he be into the 2 BMW drivers?
Definitely. I mean, that's always the gamble, isn't it? Trying to get going a little bit early, as if you get caught behind the slower runners within this race. Because obviously in this season, it's the amateurs, but it's anything up to 2.5k iRating. So we have got a big range of abilities on the iRacing scale within this race. So we've got people down in sort of like 800 iRacing all the way up to 2,400 iRacing. So a real big breadth of skill levels on the air, and we're sort of seeing that on track with the top half and the bottom half. But if you fancy it and you fancy coming into this league, you won't really lose any points, because there is a drop round within the championship. So this could be your drop round, so you could still have an opportunity within this league to get into the places. So head over to apexracingleague.com if you fancy getting into one of these GT3 cars and joining us for round 2. You'll be more than welcome to come on the field, and we'll see how you get on. But back to this racing here, and it's it's really good. It's Greg Hubler at the moment in P17th. That's very strange.
It's going to come off track.
Yeah, because
he had actually, looking at this, he had an incredibly long pit stop. So roughly about the average sort of pit stop time is around about sort of 18, 19 seconds. Hubler was stationary for nearly 60 seconds, and that is what has cost the BMW driver so dearly. And he finds himself all the way down in 17th behind Harley of Lamborghini. And it's such a shame for him, and it's cost him absolutely dearly. It didn't look like he was carrying any damage, but maybe he just got, Not too sure, maybe, he just mounts the curbs there. BMW just so good at that. Just showing his front end to Harley, trying to find his way past. You can see the pace difference between these two drivers. It's Harley Hubler swarming all over the gearbox of Harley's Lamborghini right now. And yeah, he didn't look like he's trying to make the lunge up the inside. Here comes Hubler, but he's not gonna get the move done. Can he get under acceleration? He can't. Yeah, but it didn't seem to look like he was carrying any damage, so I'm not too sure what's caused the longer pit stop. Maybe a penalty, possibly, but not really had any major off-tracks or incidents.
Pit entry speed, maybe.
Yeah, this made him have to, take a penalty for that, and that's what's cost it so dearly, which actually would work out probably about right.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? It's about 45 seconds for a pit lane minute, and it's like 20 seconds for a pit. So yeah, looks like he did have a pit lane speeding fault, which is absolutely, you really don't want to be doing that, because as you see there, I think he was up in third place quite comfortably, and now he's fighting all the way down in 17th. But we join this battle for fourth at the moment between Engelhardt and Broom. This battle has been going on for the entire 41 minutes of this race, going to and fro at the moment. Engelhardt got the upper hand, getting a little bit of a lead over Andrew Broom in 5th place. Both in the same car setup, so it's no difference in cars. Obviously, the setups could be slightly different, one getting a smaller aero package than the other. So it'd be interesting to see if any of them guys come into the commentary booth at the Anthem, just to see what setup they had. And but they're having an absolute epic battle as we're watching Greg Hubler at the front of his car over.
Here he comes. He's going to have to work to do round the outside. Harley defending for his life right now. Let's hope that really monstering the curves there, trying to get some time. You can feel frustration building in his bike cockpit. He's trying to find his way past me, and it's every time around. This is the close to me. Harley can't defend. Yes, be a race. Turn one, and move outside. Can't see the way again. Now,
seems to be a bit of an issue with your maybe like a robot off.
Too sure. In terms of sound, sorry about.
Are you back here? Are you now, Tim?
No, I'm not too sure what happened there. Is that all the excitement too much for my system, and decided to have a bit of a moment there. So apologies about that. Viewers at home.
That's all right. You just sounded like a robot there. So we'll just have a look at the incident here between Harley and Hubler, see if it was a self-spin. So I think it was when we're a little bit wide there into turn number 3, and then try to cut back on the inside, and unfortunately had the complete wrong line there for turn number 4, and unfortunately spun it. So that puts paid to that battle between Hubler and Harley in P18. So Greg Hubler obviously having a bit of a battle there with Harley would have cost him even more time. So, he's going to really struggle in this last 15 minutes to try and make any more major improvements on his current position. I mean, I think looking at the timing tower from where he is, 14th is probably going to be his best, considering he was in P3. That disastrous pit lane penalty is what we're assuming it is, has caused him dearly in this race.
It has definitely cost him dearly, and going to feel for some of the drivers with self-induced mistakes. It's costing them dearly right now. But back to the front and back to this battle that's been going on pretty much all race long between the two Lamborghinis. But Broom just leaving it to the latter stages to try to get a move done on Engelhardt, his fellow Lamborghini driver. We've got about 15 minutes left of the race. But I'll tell you what, Andy, you said about it earlier of Widnes just slipstreaming and saving fuel behind McBride. Those two, when they came into the pits, they were right on top of one another. The gap is now 5 seconds, and a lot of that has come from around the pit stop where Winnes was able to put in less fuel and stop for around about 3 seconds less.
But definitely, it does look like that what he's doing, which is a bit of a stroke of genius from himself, thinking, well, I don't need to do all the work here. I'll let McBride do it in first place, just stay behind him, save more fuel. And what he would have done is probably saved his tyres as well if he was coasting a lot more, which it sounds like he has been doing. So that's why he's at the moment being able to pull out a gap over 5 seconds over McBride. So the top three sort of all really spaced out. McBride 4.8 seconds behind Winnes, and Gandolfi is about 6 seconds behind McBride. So the top three, in fact the top four are all pretty much spaced out, but the real big battle on track at the moment is for that P4 position between Christian Engelhardt and Andrew Broome. You know, I bet Andrew Broome could draw intimately the back end of Christian Engelhardt's Lamborghini. He's been following it that much. He just needs to keep his cool and not get a little bit frustrated, because and try that deep lunge and bits of pieces. He's just literally got to bide his time. And we saw there a little bit of a mistake by Engelhardt coming into Dunlop curve, you know. And if Andrew Broome's tucked up behind him and he makes another slight mistake on that, then that's going to be his opportunity. So he's going to get an opportunity within this race, as we see a little bit of pin code there going on from Engelhardt, which won't be good for Andrew Broome, thinking, where's he gone? Which is always a nightmare on iRacing. But yeah, he just needs to bide his time, but it's running out. He's only got 12 minutes to do, and he's pretty much been following Engelhardt for the entirety of this race.
I mean, it's just, you see him jinxing around, moving around in his mirrors, is there, Broome? Trying to distract Engelhardt. Anything to just try and get a bit of advantage, because right now these two are just so evenly matched, and it's getting really, really close. But Broome is slowly running out of time. I feel it's going to take something major, something desperate, or an unforced error from Engelhardt, where Broome is applying pressure and just trying to force him into making a mistake. That it's going to be the only way, surely, that Broome can just try and get ahead somehow.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I know Andrew Broome of old. He was in the a couple of series that I've been in with GT Trophy with Andrew, and I know he's a highly consistent driver and will push right to the end. So it'd be interesting to see if Engelhardt can sort of sustain this pressure, because Andrew Broome seems to be closing up slightly behind Engelhardt, and that may force Engelhardt into a few issues. As we watch here, Andrew Broome on the inside now of a Dunlop. It should be able to get the move done, which will push Engelhardt out. And Andrew Broome, after about 48 minutes of racing, manages to get in front of Engelhardt, and it'll be interesting to see now if he can sustain and push on.
Head through Schumacher S's now. What can Broome do? Can he pull away from Engelhardt? Find out in right about 12 minutes time. That is all that is left of the race, as it gets even closer. Now Engelhardt's turn to try and turn up the pressure on Broome, like Broome has been doing. Like I said, Andrew, for pretty much the last nearly 50 minutes. Or can Broome pull away and secure that fourth place? I mean, this race, it's definitely a chance for the podium. It's definitely not on for him. It's going to be that third place. So fourth place is what's going to be best for him. And way behind him is Gickling, is about a further 15 seconds down the road from these guys. So they're sat in a nice little pocket of themselves. The last thing they want would be to, be relatively close to someone else, and for them to come along for the ride and join in some sort of last lap battle. As we watch Engelhardt just trying to turn up the pressure, just taking that shower line, just making Broome look in his mirrors. Just anything to try and distract him. As they come through Mercedes Arena. And I'm not sure which way this is going to go, Andrew. It could go absolutely either way. Because now Engelhardt, he's closing up that gap like we saw only a lap ago from Broome.
Yeah, roll reversals here, and it's a bit of what you can do, I can do just as good. So it's going to be all the way down to the wire, this one. I'm just looking down the timing charts, and they're all pretty much spaced out. The only next sort of battle is for the P8 position with Robinson, Manners and Hofgaard. So Robinson and Manners only about a second apart at the moment. The rest of them are all pretty much spaced out in the free air. Tom Bingham in 7th, about 4 seconds behind Gickling, and 5 seconds ahead of this battle that we're watching on screen now between Paul Robinson and Ian Manners for 8th and 9th place at the moment. And then going further back, there's like 3 or 4 seconds between each of the drivers. So certainly the battle on track at the moment is for this 4th place. But Andrew Broome seems to have pulled out a little bit of a gap there over Engelhardt, so has managed to get a 3-second gap, and that might have been down to that back marker that we just saw in the background. So we'll just have a look at a replay here.
This was the pass earlier on, I think. It was the lap before. It's where Broome managed to get past Engelhardt for 4th place. But yeah, all of a sudden, he said Engelhardt just lost a whole chunk of time in one corner, just maybe ran a little bit deep. But that's what cost him dearly. It's allowed Broome to pull ahead. Now over 2 seconds clear of Engelhardt. Maybe Engelhardt, where he was pushing so hard, just trying to keep Broome at bay, has cooked his tyres maybe a little bit too far past the hot stage and is now struggling for grip, as it seemed to be when we just saw him a few seconds ago. But what a drive from the Scot for BMW win their season. It's been flawless all race. Just sat his time behind McBride. Just see Manners just catching up onto the back of Robson. 2 Brits, both in Ferraris, and Manners. It feels like Broome versus Engelhardt all over again. Andrew, the way that you've got him, Manners really closing up onto the back of Robson and starting to apply the pressure, but Hofgaard is been slowly catching up on these two, and could be in for a real finale between these 3 drivers.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say the Hofgaard slowly catching up on these two. They're not battling out in front, these two, but Hofgaard seems to have a little bit more pace. And I think what's coming into play a little bit more now is the tyres. So these tyres on these GT3 cars will be probably screaming, and the wear on them will be quite a lot, as sort of looking down the timing towers to see what happened to Christian Engelhardt. And it seems that he's going off track a couple of times, so the tyres seem to be sort of done on his car, and he's trying to push it to trying to get up to Broome, but unfortunately I just don't think the tyres are able to give him what he wants. So that's always a management factor in these hour races, is do you change tyres at the pit stop or don't you? And obviously if you don't, then you run the risk of the tyres getting extremely warm by the end of the race, and you can have the extra incidents that could put paid to your positions. So I think at the moment, Christian Engelhardt's charge to try and get that 4th place back off Andrew Broome at the moment looks like it's pretty much done and dusted, with Andrew Broome currently about 3 seconds ahead. But the battle at the moment is certainly on track, seems to be with Paul Robson, Ian Manners and Hofgaard for that P8 position.
All right, now a different this is over 17th place. Vince Harley did try to drive over. We haven't really mentioned too much tonight for Porsche's Loxon, and these two are really starting to close up onto one another. Harley, we've seen obviously after a spin, just falling back behind, and now on a bit of a recovery drive, but still Vince Harley for Lamborghini up 8 places so far tonight. So not exactly what you would call a shabby performance, but you probably would have expected to maybe do a little bit better. He hasn't gone long left, but here he comes on the attack. He's gone to the inside. They come side by side down into turn 1, hard onto the brakes. The Porsche's going to take the wider line, but a really, really wide line, and that has gifted the place to Harley. To the Audi of Hubbard, trying to chase down Palmas for Porsche. And can Porsche possibly lose another place here? Jenny just seen it a few seconds ago with Loxon losing a place for Porsche over Harley. Is it going to be the same with Hubbard getting past the Porsche driver that is Palmas? The Audi's really tucked up behind the rear wing. He goes to the inside. Can he head up the inside now? So come hard on the brakes into the chicane. And that is Porsche down another place for their drivers. And Hubbard is through. And he's going to look to hold on to that place. As we now head to the two Ferrari drivers. Robson versus Manners. Hofgaard's not too far behind him is the Porsche. You can see him in the background there. They move all over the track just trying to break that slipstream. Anything Robson can do just to try and prevent Manners from getting the run on him. They head all over the track as he runs really, really deep there. Does Robson, can this allow Manners to capitalise? That gap is really, really closing up now. And you can feel maybe Robson just starting to feel the pressure that Manners is applying. And maybe just little mistakes creeping in. He seems to have got away for it with it as they come out of the Mercedes arena.
Yeah, it seems to be that Ian Mathers obviously closes up in that first section coming to the arena, and then Robinson seems to manage to scamper weight coming out of the arena. We see that accordion effect sort of lap after lap. So Ian just needs to tuck up behind Paul Robinson in 8th place and just try and keep on his tail coming down into this section. But you can sort of see the cars and, you know, the steering wheels getting a lot more twitchy when they're going around these fast corners. Certainly being in that slipstream effect, it will pull you along and seem to be going a lot faster and putting the car off balance. But as we watch on screen here, Greg Hubler just trying to get around the offside of Ostrom had a bit of a disaster really for this round for him. The pace at the start of this race was amazing as he tries to get around Zach Eagle there for 14th place, 3 wide coming through the ascender.
Wow! Wow, that could have ended so nearly in disaster. But here we go, we've got Robson versus Manners. They're going to go side by side, almost holding each other's hand, touching wing mirrors, coming into the final chicane. They head round Coca-Cola, and Manners really, really turning up the pressure right now. But it's costing him dearly because while these two have been battling, dueling it out, Hofgaard in his Porsche has been closing up behind them. And right now he's only 4 tenths behind these two. And maybe just looking to try and capitalise on a mistake from either of these two that's going to make them slow off a corner and try and take the both of them in one go. It could go either way. We're running out of time right now. We're only probably going to have about 2 laps remaining here, round 1 at the Nurburgring. And it's getting ever so close after nearly an hour of racing. You can see Robson on the lights there. There's a back marker ahead of them, just trying to clear him out the way. That is the number 37 Porsche there, which is Palmas. And you see him just on the lights, just trying to get him out of the way as quick as possible so he loses the minimum amount of time, which he's managed to do very, very well there. Robson and Manners, just where he had to defend a little bit and just cover off Hofgaard, has given Robson just that little bit of breathing space, allowed it to just pull up that bit of a gap that he wanted there. Oh no, there's Ostrom, he's off.
No, that's not.
I'm not too sure where. I'm trying to think whereabouts that is.
Oh, that's coming down. That's on turn 13, isn't it? 13, 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's just past Michelin. A bit of synchronicity between Porsche and Ferrari there. See, Stuart Winners is coming out of the Mercedes section. And what a flawless drive it has been for the BMW driver tonight. Following behind McBride for so many laps, saving fuel, able to take that shorter pit stop and then pulling away, extending on that gap that he managed to get through the pit stops and find himself 5 seconds clear of McBride. And well, what a drive it has been for the Scot tonight, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. Tactically astute. Having the awareness at the start of the race just to bide his time. Knew it was a 60-minute race. He didn't have to take McBride too early. and just basically tucked in behind him, let McBride pull him along, saved the fuel, probably saved a lot of his tyres as well, and then was able to push a lot more than McBride in the second half of this race. And as we've seen, he sort of extended his lead about 2 seconds from after the 3 seconds he gained in taking less fuel in the pit stop. So it's been an absolutely amazing race here for Stuart Wynas in first place from Scotland, and Matthew McBride, his fellow Scotsman behind him, taking the second place. So it's certainly been a Scots day out at the Nurburgring GP circuit.
See when this comes across the line to take the victory in round 1 with a flash of the lights for BMW. A 1-2 for them, a 1-2 for Scotland, with McBride coming home in second. As we see Broom, he's just been clutching off onto the back of Gandolfi, but it's going to be not enough time for him to try and get his way onto the podium. Thought it was maybe going to take, he didn't have enough time, but wow, he's really managed to close onto the back of him as we see Christian Engelhardt coming home in 5th place for Lamborghini. And back to the battle that's been happening. Robson, it looks like he's only got the chicane and Coca-Cola curb left to go as he bounces off the curbs there through the chicane. 1 corner left for him to hold on to this place. Can he do it? As he comes out, it looks all good. Here comes Robson for a Ferrari across the line to come home in 8th place. Manners has to settle for 9th. And Hofgaard not able to capitalize, rounds out that top 10 for Porsche.
Yeah, that will probably feel like a win for Paul Robinson there. He had to hold on for so many laps over the Ian Mathers Manners in 9th place. He was constantly getting hounded for probably about 15 to 20 minutes there of that race. So Paul would be delighted in that car to manage to keep that 8th place over Ian Manners in 9th place. But what a great battle. And we've had some really close, interesting battles throughout the race and some really big losers. The one we're watching on screen at the moment, Javoski, had a bit of a spin at the start, managed to claw his way up, was really flying, and then had an unfortunate issue going into Dunlop, which self-imposed spin, which put him down to like P17th, and he really didn't recover from there. So a bit of a mixed bag for him. He certainly knows he's got the speed, but I think he just needs that little bit of consistency as we watched the last couple of cars drown, and another one was Harley as well. He was doing really well, and again, a couple of spins has put him down from the top half of the grid to P19th. So a bit of a chalk and cheese days for some of these drivers, but it's been a really great opening round for the first round of the GT Trophy AM series.
It definitely has, and what a great way to kickstart off the season here at the Nurburgring, with plenty of action for everyone watching at home. So as we see, for the Class 5 results, Stuart Wynas, the Scot for BMW, comes home in 3rd with his fellow countryman McBride in 2nd. Then we've got Gandolfi rounding out your podium, very closely followed by Broom for Lamborghini. Just not closed up a massive gap on Gandolfi, but not enough. Just ran out of that time. They're able to squeeze himself onto the podium. Then we've got Engelhardt for Lamborghini in 5th. Then it's Gickley in 6th. Bingham is 7th for Porsche. And actually the top Porsche finisher today. Then we've got Paul Robson just defending for his life there for the last few laps against Ian Manners. Then we've got Hofgaard. It rounds out your top 10. Then it's Pajero's 11th. Kynetz is 12th. Mattea is 13th. Hubler, disappointing for him. For the American, is 14th. Edel is 15th. They've got Janowski, another driver who's been disappointed with his day today, in 16th. Loxton 17th. Ofstrom is 18th. And then in 19th place, we've got Harley. Matlov is 20th. Palmas is 23rd. Then we've got Collishaw, Hubbard, and Vinagre at 24th. Kahea in 25th. Whitehouse is 26th. Torres is 27th. And rounding out the field, retiring on the very start of the race, near the start of the race, was Christensen. And wow, what a race. And apologies to that Chris James in chat saying that we both sounded like We were saying blue dibba. Yeah, apologies about that. A few technical issues with Discord. It just seemed to fall over for pretty much everyone, and it's the way it just worked out. Was right as all the action was starting to hot up on the track. And thank you for all your sort of kind words. Just waiting to see if any of the drivers pop in for a chat. It'd be great to hear from some of them today. And it's well worth mentioning as well, Andy. There's some prizes up for grabs for the drivers in this championship.
Yeah, certainly. It's a new one for the ARL leagues. It's actually the top 10 finishing positions within the championship all win prizes. Now, it's normally where we have multi-classes of AMs and pros, it's normally only the top 3. But in this championship, as it's all AMs, there's actually 10 prizes up for grabs. And the prize is obviously kindly donated by our 3 main sponsors, Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming, and Apex Racing Academy, all ranging from the top prize of gold for Virtual Racing School and SDK Gaming to getting the silver for, I think it's 2nd to 5th, and then it's from 6th down to 10th. It's either Virtual Racing School or SDK Gaming packages. So some really great prizes for the top 10. There's also prizes for the top 3 teams as well, with a year subscription to the team on Apex Racing Academy or SDK Gaming. So there's everything to fight for within this championship, and a great start for the drivers there in this first round. And just obviously a quick shout out as well to Arthur H. He says, great broadcasts. I'll be joining you next week. So hopefully looking forward to seeing Arthur H on the grid next week. So that'll be good. And Chris Staines for singing the Blue Dalla Dee Dalla song. We do like to educate for all and accommodate for all here on Apex Racing with a bit of karaoke halfway to, even if it was impromptu bit of karaoke there, but yeah, we do try to cater for everybody. Yeah,
exactly. We're now joined by Porsche's Tom Bingham. Tom, welcome to the commentary booth, and thank you for joining us.
Evening, guys.
What a race out there, and yeah, you came home in 7th place, finishing up. I think it was up 5 places. How'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, it was surprising the amount of talent there is in this AM Championship. So I won the AM trophy going back a little ways, and I thought, I'll come in and it'll be fine. I'll be in the top 3. But no, everyone surprised me. I got a little held up in quali, which didn't help my grid position. But I tried desperately to track the front runners down, but I just couldn't put it together.
Yeah, I mean, Winnes and McBride just seem to be in a little bit of a class of their own for BMW today, the 2 Scots. Obviously, something to take home. You finished top of all the Porsche drivers. I mean, you've seen BMW. It seems to be the really, really strong about Nurburgring. But, did you feel comfortable in the Porsche, or did you feel like it was just maybe just lacking around this circuit a little bit?
It was good for a while, but the tires went off very, very quickly. I don't know if it was the setup I had or the balance, but I was starting to get quite a bit of understeer, and I did notice against the BMWs they had a bit of better drive out of the corners towards the end of the race, which is a bit weird considering the Porsche is normally the king of the exits, but the Beamer seems really balanced this time round, so I've got to get quicker.
No more problem. Obviously, we head to quite possibly one of the most notoriously bumpy tracks in World Motorsport, Sebring, next time out in a week's time. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, I really like Sebring. Ran the 12 hours in the Lambo round there before, so I haven't driven it in the Porsche, but it's a track that I'm pretty familiar with, so excited to see how many people die on the last corner, because that is bumpy. So
it is. It's notorious, not just in sim racing world, but also in real life racing. The amount of cars that have ended up in the wall on the outside of the last corner over time. There's plenty of them, and some big names as well that have put it in that wall as well. So it's always a little bit of comfort, but definitely sure. So you'll be trying to avoid. Anyone you want to say, thank you to, or any shout outs you want to give to anyone?
Just a big thanks to the Performance Link Esports team, who Andy is a driver for us as well. So hello, Andy. also just want to say a big thanks to all you guys at Apex Racing TV for all the broadcasts and streams and all the stuff you put on. So, without you guys, sim racing wouldn't be half as fun. So thanks to you guys as well.
Hello, Tom, by the way.
Hello.
Well, as your teammates, have you got any questions for Tom, Andy?
Yeah, obviously, I saw you in practice there, mate, and you were up in the sort of like the top 8 in the practice sessions, and like you said, the qualifying. We just need to sort of work on that with you with the qualifying, because I was quite surprised when you ended up down in 13th place, because you're normally very strong in the qualifying. Did you get held up that bad in there, and did you actually manage to get a clear lap?
I got about 2/3 of a clear lap, but I couldn't. I just couldn't get my focus in because I could see a car in the distance. So I ended up sort of following their line subconsciously, and sort of not running my line in practice. So a little bit disappointing, but hey, there's always next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you did well in the race, mate. Obviously getting up 5 places, and I imagine you're a big sweaty mess in that rig of yours, because I know you're a bit of a stress. So go and have your nice cold beer and a shower, mate.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you very much. So that's Porsche driver Tom Bingham for Performance Link Esports. And wow, what an absolutely epic round, really. And as we head to, as you mentioned, Sebring out next week, it's definitely going to be interesting, and to see if some of the drivers have maybe a little bit better fortune, shall we say, Andy.
What the guys have got to take into consideration is the first round of the championship. They're just getting a feel of the other drivers, just getting a feel of the cars within this championship. So the first round is always just a feeler round anyway. It normally gives us an idea of who's going to be at the front runners and the mid pack runners, but it's nothing really in this first round. The next round at Sebring will be an exceptional round. I love that track. It's so fast, really flowing, and there's plenty of opportunities for the good overtakes on there. So pretty sure the drivers will be looking forward to that, and I'm certainly looking forward to joining yourself next week, Tim, to give the commentary on that round in round number 2.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's going to be a really, really a great round, a real spectacle to watch. Obviously, if you want to keep in touch with everything that's happening here over Apex Racing TV, we're on that Twitter at Apex Racing TV. Facebook is, of course, facebook.com/Apex Racing TV. And, of course, Instagram, we are, funnily enough, Apex Racing TV there as well. Obviously, we look forward to seeing you in a week's time. If that is not quite enough action for you, in a couple of days' time, we have got the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. That's at round 6 from Twin Ring Motegi. That's at 8 PM. And then on 10 PM the same evening, it's Radicals for week 6. They head to Laguna Seca. And then on the 23rd, which is Saturday, it is, of course, Formula Renault 2.0, where they are off to Monza. That's definitely going to be one well to watch out for. So, we will see you in a week's time. The big question is, can someone take on the fight to the 2 BMWs, the Team Scotland that are Witness and McBride? We'll find out in a week's time. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.